Come on, non-class is about to start. Put that away and concentrate.
Žiga im Miše. Nate Levec.
Nate Levec.
Nakpo Hentanei.
Simon Gregorin.
Simon Gregorin.
Nakpo Hentanei.
Mateusz Szalamun.
Mateus Szalamun.
Nakpo Hentanei.
I don't think he's getting the hang of this. Welcome back to Season 3, Part 1 of the Dobfather. What a campaign we had last year. However, this season I think things are going to be an awful lot tougher. We've had a pretty eventful summer, and not for good reasons, largely, let me assure you. Before we get into today's episode, though, a huge thank you to Coach Zanko, our new Slovenian football pronunciation coach, who very kindly recorded videos with pronunciations of all of the teams and players that we come across in this series, so I might start to do a slightly, and only slightly, better job. Nom, though, I think he's a complete write-off. He's going to stick with the throat singing. So to the summer that we've just had, we have some news to update you on. Some of it very, very good, and some of it very, very bad. Let's start with the obvious, shall we? After becoming the chairperson's blue-eyed boy, Nom started shouting around town how he was the tactical mastermind behind last season's success, and before you know it, he's being linked with jobs in the Slovenian second division. Fortunately, he turned it down. However, he wasn't the only in-demand manager, as yours truly was being offered jobs in the Croatian second tier. We, of course, turned it down, but let's give you some good news. After 2 years of on-again, off-again board takeovers, one finally went through. And the best news of all was that they decided to pump £275,000 into the club coffers. So it took us all of 2 minutes to march into the boardroom and ask for an upgrade. We decided to go for training facilities, and the board agreed at a cost of £325,000. So we thought we'd then chance our arm to improve the youth recruitment. The 4th time we've asked, we were turned down once more, but this time when we pleaded our case, the new board found our ambition infectious. And so the budgets have been upgraded so that we now have above average youth recruitment. But now to the bad news, and our first choice goalkeeper, Žiga Firmashek, has picked up an injury that's going to keep him out for 3 months. That'll be the first 2 months of the domestic campaign, as well as our European debut. So why is an injury to a goalkeeper that the coaches believe only has the potential to be good enough for the division below we're currently at such a big deal? Well, it's because we only have 2 goalkeepers, and one of those has only recently come of age, and he's injured as well at the moment, having been out for all of pre-season. Žiga Masaric is still carrying a knock. He was able to limp his way through the opening day of the season that we've already played, and we will show you in a moment. But we're going to be in European action today, and this unambitious, untried, untested, unremarkable 17-year-old goalkeeper is going to be in Europa League action for us today. During pre-season, we were forced to play our 3rd goalkeeper, temperamental Andrei Pertovšek, and he is incredibly temperamental, because we had the audacity to criticise him for his terrible performance in training. He was getting a 6.15, and he threw his toys out of the pram when we said that that wasn't good enough. Don't let the smile fool you. This young rascal is a troublemaker, and he's too young to play in the league. So unfortunately, we're going to have to turn to the injured Masaric for this evening's game, and it is going to be a very, very tough one at that. So rather naively, we'd hoped that our European debut might be against some part-timers from Andorra, but instead, we've been handed an incredibly tough 2-legged tie against Trabzonspor of Turkey. It turns out whoever we'd have got in this draw, it would have been a tough game. Young boys were in there from Switzerland, Bodø/Glimt from Norway, Anderlecht from Belgium. I'm not sure there were any easy games, but I think we've been handed the toughest with a tie against Trabzonspor. Now, I know this is going to be unusual for me, but I've been checking out the rules of this competition, and from what I can see, if we lose, we are still going to drop into the Europa Conference League. Why I say if we lose, I'm not entirely sure. When we get trounced by Trabzonspor, I think we're still going to be in European competition, although not in the one we might like. By the way, the appearance fee for just making it this far in the competition is £241,000, so I am semi-hopeful that when we get paid that money, we might be able to get in there and maybe improve some more facilities, potentially upgrading the youth training facilities this time, so that they will be above average as well. So for today's episode, we're going to bring you the away leg of that Trabzonspor tie. I think that's all we're going to need to bring you, because the tie will be done after this first leg. I'm pretty convinced. We had a very rocky pre-season. Giga Firmashek played in goal in our first pre-season friendly. Then he got injured, and we were turning to that 16-year-old temperamental keeper. We lost 3-0 to a Croatian top division side and 5-0 to a Czech top division side before we managed to get a 3-1 victory against a lower league Slovenian team to try and get confidence up going into the season. However, despite having to play an injured 17-year-old unambitious keeper on the opening day of the season, it did go quite well. We took on newly promoted Bravo Ljubljana and we won 2-1 with our first goal coming through Šipek. And just after the hour mark, we added our second as Nate Slavets managed to pounce on a defensive mistake. Despite barely getting a kick in this game, Bravo did find a consolation goal deep in stoppage time, but look at the XG. Almost 4.5 goals were predicted for us, and we only managed 2. So I do have some reservations about our ability to take chances this season when they come. And those errors are going to be very costly, because I don't think we're going to get many chances today against Trabzonspor. If one comes our way, we simply must take it. For our European debut, we fly to Turkey, to the city of Trabzon on the northern coast to take on a Trabzonspor side that are 7 times champions of the nation. Fortunately, some of their star players, such as Maxi Gomez, have now moved on to Paris Saint-Germain, but they still boast quality such as Egyptian international Trezeguet, who's played in the Premier League for Aston Villa. Coach Abdullah Avci guided Trabzonspor to the title 2 years ago and has won the cup in each of the last 2 seasons. This has the potential to be a very long game for an inexperienced Dob side as they take on Trabzonspor in the Europa League. So let's be brutally honest, this is going to be a horrific evening of football for us. I fear they could get 5, 6, 7, 8 goals if they put their mind to it. We are just a completely different level to them. Even if we did have our first choice goalkeeper, without him, I worry about the young pup that's making his European debut at 17 years old. This could be the biggest defeat we've suffered as Dob manager, but it's a glorious evening for the club. Let's be brutally honest, none of us when we took over at Dob thought that we would be playing European football this early. But be careful what you wish for, because just 5 minutes into the game, we've given away a penalty. And we're going to see our young keeper tested very early on. What a dreadful start as they rattle in the penalty. It was a shove from a throw-in in the box. I missed who gave it away, but we see this reasonably regularly from our players. I think it's perhaps their poor mental attributes that lead them to give away these very, very soft penalties. And with just 10 minutes gone, we already find ourselves a goal down. However, aside from the penalty, we've navigated the first, 15 minutes of the game reasonably well as Šipek moves the ball back to Mitrovic and now to Zidane, and we see whether we can potentially force an effort on goal. I don't think we'll have many of those today, and so it's proved as we've turned the ball over. But Trezeguet's now been robbed by Šipek, and he's made his way into the penalty area, where he's given the ball away and tried to do a sliding tackle inside their box. Somehow, we've got the ball back again. Tigla feeds Gajic. He's given it on his left foot to Gregorin, and we've at least had an effort on goal. So we've navigated half an hour, and we've not done too badly. It's not been the mauling that I'd feared, at least in the first third of the game. But now Striger feeds a ball out to Fatih, and he looks to make it a little bit more comprehensive. Kaučić dives in on his man. He's gone behind for a goal kick. So we're looking to try and get to half-time, only 1 goal down. They've had another effort from a corner. They are starting to threaten a little more regularly now. but we are still in this game. If we could take it back to Slovenia at this scoreline, well, you never know when we bring them to the intimidating atmosphere of a stadium that holds more than 280 supporters. Anything could be possible on the night, but keeping it down to 1-0 is going to be a tough ask. But Tigla has a great effort. He has had a little shot that the goalkeeper's dived to his left and turned around the post. And Trabzonspor are not the only team that are looking threatening in this game. Kaučić is on the corners. Again, we don't manage to win it in the box, but Kaučić picks up the loose ball, gives it to Tigla. Mitrovic gives the ball away to Trezeguet. Superb from Darko Mitrovic. He's playing a 6.5. He's not a man for the big occasions. He's more of a soft track bully, I think. Does all of his good work in games that we're expected to do well in. Never turns up for the big occasions. We need to try and keep this at 1-0 going into half-time. We might just give the boys a bit of a rallying cry, because that's not the worst first half of football we've seen. So as we kick off the second half, who is our player with the highest average rating from that first 45 minutes of action? That's right, Mesaric, the 17-year-old goalkeeper. He didn't get anywhere near the penalty, but other than that, he has been good so far as they give away a foul. Kasnic goes down. He is struggling for fitness. He might be one of the first subs we have to make. We're racing towards the hour mark, and we have some performances that are a little concerning out there, and we may need to think about some reinforcements. As Gajic receives a ball over the top of their defence, and he is in. He could have done better with that. He's hit the defender with his shot. It's gone over for yet another corner. We've not looked likely from any of our set plays. Can we put that right now? As youngster Kaučić is on the ball once more. Petek once again refrains from actually jumping, and Tigla gets the ball to Mitrovic. And I think on the hour mark, we need to think about some changes, because we've got Mitrovic playing poorly. We've got Petek playing very poorly. In midfield, we've got Kasnic that's struggling for fitness, and Kaučić who's looking like he is overawed by the occasion. But it's up front that I think we need to make some changes. Šípek, terrible. Gregorín, not much better. And we have Nate Levet on the bench, who I think is going to come on. And I think we're going to do a straight swap for Gregorín and let Levet play up front. And we might make another change later, because Dino Zenkovic could always come on for Šípek if he doesn't improve his performance. In order to try and help with that, let's just change his role a little. Let's ask him to be an advanced playmaker, try and find some pockets of space and set up the newly arrived Levet for that equalising goal. We're up to 5 shots now. Only one of them's been on target, but I think this is a fair evening's work. But now we've got a dangerous set piece for the opposition. Bardi's on the ball. He's just outside the corner of the box, and we've seen our keeper make a save. Granted, he didn't look the most convincing doing it, but he's kept it out. And if we can navigate another set play, I think it's time for some more substitutions. Trezeguet seems to have been heavily involved. And it's the young man again. He's made another smart stop. We were told that his reflexes are good, and so it would seem. Okay, Christian Šípek did not improve his performance. In fact, it got worse. So we've brought Dirty Denis Valencic on. He's going up front. We're rejigging our wide players. They're going to be wingers with Gajic on the right and Nate Levet going over to the left wing. And we've also made a call at centre-half. Clearly, it was a huge mistake playing Petek. I think he might have given away the penalty. He's on a 6.2, so Šalamun is going to come on and play 20 minutes of European football, having delivered precious little in the Slovenian league so far. And we are still only 1-0 down, and we are harrying the opposition. And we've won the ball back, cleared it to the halfway line. Dirty Den can't win it. And now we've got defending to do once more. They've overlapped us down the outside, and they've got a ball in. And we've given away another penalty, and it's Mitrovic this time. Okay, well, the youngster has come up trumps twice with a couple of good saves. Now he's back to the spot, and he dives completely the wrong way. And he did exaggerate his dive. He really went for it. He went big down to his left, and the ball goes all the way over to his right. We are now 2-0 down. That's going to make it very, very tough to qualify. We've also got an incredibly tired Kasnic still on the pitch. So let's take him off. I think we're going to bring Pogacar on. And now we're just trying to hang on to the final whistle at just 2-0. Both of the goals have been pens. It's disappointing that we've given them away, but perhaps slightly heartening that we've not been carved open by a team whose players are all valued at over £1 million. And I think we've reached all the way to the full-time whistle. The referee puts us out of our misery. So I guess we're pleased that we've only lost that game 2-0, given my pre-match doom-mongering. But on the balance of play, I'm actually a little disappointed that we've gone down by 2-0. So now that our European debut is complete, we need to turn our minds back to the league form. And we've got work to do this season to finish as highly as we did last campaign. We'll show you how the last few games have gone when we come back for our next episode of the Dobfather.